Loughcrew. Sacred and ancient Loughcrew. Older than Newgrange, older than Stonehenge. Situated between Oldcastle and Kells, in the rich pasture and farming lands of the Boyne Valley in North County Meath, and near Sheelin, Virginia, and Ballyjamesduff in County Cavan. It is a complex of monuments on 32 recorded cairns spread over 4 hills: Patrickstown, Carnbean East, Carnbean West, and Carrickbrack. From the crest of the hill, and on a clear day, the panoramic view stretches out to at least 20 counties. Loughcrew is the modern name for Slieve na Cailleach, and so is associated with the Cailleach, meaning the veiled one, a Mother Nature figure, Mother Earth, the sacred divine feminine, from where all life comes. And so Loughcrew, Slieve na Cailleach, is all about the sacred divine feminine. Indigenous Irish spirituality was and is all about respect for the sacred feminine and for all forms of life. Hence everything was in perfect balance and pristine health. Our ancient ancestors counted the days from sundown to sundown, the months by the cycles of the moon, the year by the cycle of the sun, and so living in harmony with the rhythms of Mother Earth. But with the changing times, our world has become dominated by the masculine energy, and this dominance of masculine energy is the main reason for all the turmoil and chaos we are now facing. The man-made ancient structure of stone here at Loughcrew, the 32 recorded cairns, are older than Newgrange, with each of these cairns having features and alignments unique to themselves. They're all known by a specific letter of the alphabet, Cairn T being the most frequently visited. In 1863, Eugene Alfred Conwell, a school inspector from Trim outside Oldcastle, visited here and picnicked with his wife on the hills, and became curious about these stone structures. Subsequently, a team of labourers supplied by the local landlord, J.L. Napier, excavated the main mounds, and cremated remains and artefacts were found in most of the cells and all documented. Conwell discovered 32 mounds of various sizes and named them after letters of the alphabet, A being the most westerly and Z the furthest east. He added a number to some of the smaller cairns such as A1, A2, A3, or 1, or 2, X1, X2. However, Conwell was not an archaeologist, and much of his analysis proved inaccurate, so much valuable information was lost forever. But at least awareness of the site's value was raised, and worse destruction that would have come about by people quarrying the stone was avoided. The most noticeable feature of Loughcrew is the megalithic artwork, some as much as 7,000 years old, and most famous on the backstone of Cairn T, where every spring and autumn equinox the stone is illuminated at dawn. Concentric circles, spirals, naturalistic motifs such as flowers, leaves, the sun, moon, stars, etc. are visible everywhere. How do you visualise the year and the seasons? Do you see a straight line going from January to December? Or maybe a straight line from September to September, that being the school year? Or do you see a circle? That's how our ancient ancestors saw it. Cyclical. And in their artwork, in all their ancient passage chambers, we see circles and spirals. A circle is a closed structure, while a spiral is open. In a circle, the beginning and the end cannot be determined, and in megalithic artwork represents the constant, ongoing, unending order and sequence of the seasons. However, the seasons do not always conform to an exact repetitive pattern from the previous year. Each and every spring, summer, autumn and winter is different and unique in itself, where growth and bloomage can be more or less proficient than the previous same season. These variations all depend on the light, the sun, the temperature, rain and wind factors. Again, proof, if we still need it, that all the earth stuff, all the sky stuff is interlinked and interdependent. A spiral, on the other hand, unlike a circle, is not a closed structure. A spiral continues to grow and expand from a fixed point, and in megalithic artwork represents the different and higher levels of energy, vibration, frequency, the cosmic spiraling stairway. The spiral is linked to the circle because the spiral follows the same route and the same repetition as the circle, but continues expanding without closure onwards and upwards to the different levels, just as we continue through the different levels of reality. So for our ancient ancestors, their journey through the year was a cycle, as in the order and pattern of the seasons, but also a spiral, in that the repeating pattern unfolded into a spiral. Life spiralling in repetitive circular movement out and beyond infinity and eternity. Many of these passage tombs are aligned towards sunrise or sunset on the 4 quarter days, these being the 2 solstices, summer solstice 21st of June and winter solstice 21st of December, and the 2 equinoxes, spring equinox March 21st and autumn equinox September 21st. These were the original 4 divisions that our ancient ancestors divided their year into: their wheel of the year, their solar and cosmic calendar, the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes. And why did they do this? Simply because in order to grow crops, for example, they required some sort of calendar or clock to let them know when the time was right for them to sow their seeds. They first needed to know the shortest day, the winter solstice, and the longest day, the summer solstice. And midway between these 2 points, there were 2 specific dates when night and day were equal: the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. And so they planned to erect structures in the landscape to indicate all of this. Man-made passages, covered with loose stones and contained within round circles of very large stones, were created, where on specific days of the year, the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes, indicators of the changing seasons, Samhain, Imbolc, Bealtaine and Lunasa. At these times the light of the rising or setting sun would enter the chambers through a narrow passage at the entrance of the structure. And these passage-chambered cairns are to be found all over Ireland, the earliest solar and cosmic calendar. So Loughcrew is not just a collection of megalithic artwork, but a complex series of these deliberately planned, interconnected solar calendars, solar or even lunar observatories, defining the year and possibly celestial events that our ancient ancestors knew all about. Visible proof that they were indeed very sophisticated and technologically advanced, and all with megalithic artworks. Cairn T dominates the crest of the hill and is the most visited cairn in the entire complex. Known as the Cailleach cairn, it is orientated due east and aligned to the 2 equinoxes, March 21st and September 21st, that time when daylight and dark are equal. Cairn T is the only cairn where the stones have not been plundered. The modern gate is locked, forbidding visitors from entering the sacred interior. The chamber is cruciform in shape, with some of the original corbel intact. This cairn is one of the most adorned with megalithic art. The light of the rays of the rising equinox sun, twice a year, illuminates three naturalistic carvings on the back stone known as the equinox stone. A flower symbol is first outlined, and over a period of 1 hour, this rectangle of light moves slowly in a diagonal direction across the back stone. The second carving illuminated is a simple sun figure, such as any young child might draw. The final carving, caught by the moving rays, resembles the first, a flower, but with the addition of a carved crown or crest on it, which could possibly indicate a crowning or honouring of the sun god. The final symbol illuminated is a wheeled sun, carved on the right hand side of the protecting sill stone of the centre chamber. Conwell found many artefacts in Currentee, including some charred bones and many decorated items of stone and bone. Currentee is in many ways a celebration of a hugely feminine monument, womb-like in its internal structure, a celebration of equality, as it celebrates that time of year when daylight and darkness are equal. Cairn-S is close to Currentee. Cairn-S is unlike most of the other cairns, as it has a small, tiny Y-shaped chamber and a different alignment towards the west, a sunset alignment rather than a sunrise one, celebrating the ending of the day, but at the same time the brightness of the moon. Cairn-S is surrounded by a large perimeter, broken rings of irregular curved stones, some smooth, some jagged, like cutting incisors or sharp crooked teeth, with the gaps between the stones being the entrances into the sacred interior. The interior itself is now roofless, the stones having been plundered and pillaged to build the field boundary walls that now crisscross the hill today. Cairn-L is aligned to the sunrise on the cross-quarter days of Imbolc in early February and Samhain in early November. This is an unusual alignment, as the beam of sun hits a bright standing stone reflecting a soft glow of light around the chamber. As the beam moves diagonally from left to right, it reflects off another bright stone on the right hand sail, which highlights some of the most spectacular art in the entire complex. A spectacular light show indeed. Cairn-L is highly unusual, as it has these two alignments within one passage chamber. At the entrance to Cairn-L and to the left is a carving in the shape of a four-petaled flower with a round centre, a symbol common in other indigenous cultures. Underneath the four female forms are a series of concentric circles. Cairn-U is aligned similarly to Cairn-L, an alignment with the rising sun at Imbolc and Samhain, marking the beginning of winter and the beginning of spring. Now also roofless and stripped of several of its vital stones, but some of the megalithic artwork still survives here. The Hag's Chair. Tara has its Leofoil, Ushnik has its capstone, so too Loughcrew has its Hag's Chair, the focal point of this large site. It is a large shaped curbstone, measuring 10 feet in breadth and 6 feet high, carved in the shape of a throne, facing due north, near Currentee, 20 tons in weight, with a cross chiselled on the top. Its smooth textured surface is unique compared to the other curbstones in the site. Known as the Wise One, or the Hag, the Cailleach was revered by our ancient ancestors. The term Hag being an ancient way of expressing wisdom. It was with the comings of the later invasions and the introductions of their cultures that the term hag came to be interpreted as a wicked old woman or witch, complete with warts, long pointed chin and hat, and of course, cat and broomstick, a force to be feared and avoided. But for our ancient ancestors, it was the old ones, the females, who held the stories and the wisdom of their people and carried them forward. And as the story of Loughcrew's hag chair goes, the hag was given a challenge that if she could jump from hill to hill with her apron full of stones, she would be made queen of the land. So she jumped from the first hill right across to all the others, and every time she stopped, she spilt a pile of stones, and these created the mounds. And as she jumped to the last hill, Patrick's Town, she tripped and broke her neck. So from looking at just these four cairns, Cairn T, Cairn S, Cairn L and Cairn U, and the hag's chair, it is obvious that Loughcrew has a lot to do with the divine feminine energy and how our ancient ancestors lived their lives in an understanding that the Mother Goddess was supreme over everyone and everything. And as we gaze in wonder at all this amazing megalithic artwork, we cannot but ask, are these mere abstract drawings, or do they have some deep symbolic meaning? Why did our ancient ancestors devote so much time and put so much effort into creating them? And when we find the answer, we have found the link, that vital link that leads us back to the wisdom and knowledge of our ancient ancestors. For theirs was a deep and a profound spiritual culture. And therein lies the explanation of how they differed from us. The word spiritual culture, and what it means. Religion and spirituality are two very different things. Religion is man-made. Spirituality, on the other hand, is a deep connection each person must find for himself. A deep connection with the land, with the oneness of everything, and respect for all forms of life within that oneness. Religion generally does not recognise the right of other forms of life, or even indigenous human forms to exist in peaceful harmony with Mother Earth. But a great awakening is now taking place, as more and more people realise that religion is much more about dividing rather than unifying, dividing us from each other, from our fundamental God essence, and from the greater universe and cosmos to which we all belong, and of which we are all an integral part, and not apart from. Why do people come to visit Loughcrew? For many reasons. The peace and quiet, the scenery and the spectacular views, that get away from it all experience. Yes, there are certainly attractions that draw people. But more important in pulling power is the connection one feels with Ireland's ancient past, the world of our ancient ancestors. A world clearly made visible to us and evidenced through the many decorated stones and the exact solar alignments of the various cairns. Evidence indeed that our ancient ancestors were tuned into the natural cycles of the year and Mother Earth. The beautiful and intriguing artwork and the spectacular solar light shows that occur throughout the year must surely cause us to stop and connect with our ancient ancestors and strive to understand whatever it was they were doing with all of this. And the main lesson we take away from Loughcrew, it must surely be that we can return to being a spiritual culture. A spiritual culture being one which recognises that everything comes from the feminine, from Mother Earth, and hence we celebrate, respect and acknowledge the feminine in all her goddess forms. Caring, nurturing, benevolent. The Cailleach is present for all of us, as we all share the grandmother wisdom and knowledge from our ancient ancestors. We are taught by her to respect all living things, to practice gratitude for absolutely everything, and to discover how magical a place our world really is.